Welcome to the Made in Maine podcast, where we dive headfirst to discuss difficult topics, core principles, and the creativity behind the thriving Made in Maine community. We invite you to tune in whether you're a skeptic, on the fence, or have many years designing and creating Maine-made products. Join us as we grow together and continue to put Maine on the map with the Made in Maine podcast. So Matt, thanks for making the trip down. It's we're plugging away at this podcast. I think it's been such a encouraging thing to bring in these guests to hear that there's so many similarities to the people that we bring on, these small family businesses. Some of them started by watching YouTube videos. Some of them just started small, working out of the house, baking, crafting. And we're also seeing that the similarities on that side of how they started and how their business has grown. But we're also seeing how we've been impacted recently with the coronavirus. And so it's hurting the small businesses. I know a lot. We're going to talk about how, some of the people that we know in the restaurants, how has it been for you and your family, your business?
Well, my family hasn't been extremely impacted by it. My wife is a teacher, so our school ended up closing for 2 weeks, starting yesterday. But it's not going to really affect us that much. My wife is still on maternity leave from having our daughter in December. So it's not a super big deal. Plus, we only have one kid that's actually in the public school at the moment. So, it's not really impacting our family as much that way. But what it is impacting is my business, though. My business has definitely declined. When I first came in here and we started setting up to record this, I mentioned that I shipped my last order that I had today. And I mean, there's a couple more that are in the works. They're not finalized. Like I'm just designing or something for the customer, but, yeah, it's definitely slowed down. And I understand why. I mean, I understand that people are more concerned about essentials, and what I'm providing is not really an essential. It's more of like, expendable income that people are spending on my product because it's decorative. It tends to be higher end,
right.
more.
Yeah. So, because the last time we were talking about how certain times of the year, okay, it's spring's coming. Or, by the time you hear this, spring might have already come.
Yeah. But
people are starting to, okay, what can I do to improve my house and paint and decor? And so I think so what's going to happen? Is that going to get kind of set aside now, where people are all about food necessities? And like you said, that disposable income is now getting disposed elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm more of a food-oriented business with the gift boxes, and we have other things that we sell, like boxes of chips and boxes of canned blueberries and coolers filled with hot dogs. And so what I've noticed is that things have actually done the opposite, and things have been the best for me.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because I hate to say it like that. Hopefully that doesn't come off wrong, because this is kind of a scary thing that's going on right now. I'm hoping that by the time this airs, things have settled and we're going to get back to normal. But for me and my business, things have ramped up. So now I need to figure out, okay, well, how do I fulfill all of these orders?
Sure.
And that can be kind of challenging. The good thing is my employees, we're staying healthy. We're following all the precautions. And we are mainly an online business. So there's not a whole lot of interaction with other people. We do have a small little retail room that we're going to close up. And we'll just say, hey, if you want to order a box or you want something from us, just go to the website, is what I'm seeing a lot of businesses doing in our area.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of foresaw this coming, right? I mean, it was a slow ramp, relatively, so I'd actually heard about the coronavirus, what was happening in China back in January. So I kind of, I kind of followed the news, politics, and current events and things like that. So I kept my eye on it. And as things, I could tell things were starting to get a little bit worse. I kind of thought in the back of my head, like, okay, what if it does get to the point where business starts to slow down from this? And so what I'm trying to do is make the best of the situation.
Right.
So what it means now is I have a lot more time. like, because I don't have any of these custom orders, or I don't have all, I don't have to take all the time talking to customers and things. So what I'm going to do is, during this time when it's slower, is I'm going to be making as much inventory as I can. I'm going to be developing new products, doing all that, the whole process of developing some new products that whole process. I mean, it just takes so much time that this is kind of a good opportunity for me to do that. So I also and because of that, I foresaw this coming. I decided, well, I'll put in a big steel order, and make sure I get a bunch of material in, so I don't have to worry about getting material in case Bangor Steel closes.
I'm concerned about that for me, where I have so many different businesses that I work with. I haven't seen anything yet. But I'm a little concerned with, I might have to start saying, hey, we don't have this product anymore because our supplier manufacturer, they're having to close down. They're having to send employees home because the rules keep getting stricter and stricter on what we can and can't do here, as far as, we want to try to limit the exposure. Yep. So I think I like the fact that you're making the most of it. I like that you said that, because instead of just saying, oh, forget it, whatever, I'm just going to we're not going to do anything at all. Yeah. Planning, preparing, not getting all frantic, but staying positive through it, I think is important. Yeah.
So over time, I've been, building up a little bit of savings for the business, because I plan on doing an addition on my workshop and stuff. Nice. So I do have some money set aside, so I can still pay myself. I can still pay my bills. Yeah. It's not a devastating thing for me to not have that regular income.
I love that.
But, it does put a little bit of a dent in it. I mean, the business has been doing really well this year anyway. So having hopefully this is just a temporary thing, a couple weeks, I hope, no more than that would be great. But trying to stay positive and just...
Because when the sales are slow, because I've had, recently things have been pretty slow, you can get kind of down, like, oh man, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay these bills? For me, it's how do I pay my employees? But, hopefully it's just a short-term thing, but you're also planning and you're moving ahead. So if people listening, if you're experiencing the same thing, what would we say? For encouraging words, I would just say, continue to press forward, look at different angles, how you can, better your business. Maybe there's something you've been setting aside, and maybe now's the time to do it. Put that extra time that you have now into the project, whatever it may be. Maybe it's rebranding. Maybe it's looking back over some pricing. I went and looked over all the pricing of all my products, make sure, everything's lining up, some financial stuff, finishing up taxes. I finally got my taxes done. That's not positive. It's positive that I got it done. Yeah. But I don't like doing taxes, all the paperwork, but I wrapped that all up while I was in the slower season. I allocated my time to those things. I think that's good.
Yeah, and then so when things get back to normal, you come out on top.
You go 100%, 110.
Like you're already running. You've already hit the ground running. Yep. And you can just get right back to it.
Yep.
Ten years ago, Julie and Paul Roberts decided that it was time to bring popcorn back to Boothbay Harbor. After all, it had been years since anyone sold popcorn in Boothbay Harbor, and what could be more fun than making and selling delicious eye-popping flavors of popcorn? After several months in the kitchen learning how to create a great tasting popcorn and developing their business plan, they were ready to take the plunge. Julie and Paul opened their doors on June 7th, 2008, and were absolutely astounded at the excitement that followed. Their biggest impression after that first day was the extraordinary reaction that they saw when handing out sample after sample of their crazy popcorn flavors like chocolate bacon, Maine blueberry pancake, root beer, and so many more. That reaction continues to amaze them every day, and it fuels their passion to spread delicious popcorn far and wide.
All right, we have Julie Roberts joining us on the Made in Maine podcast. How's it going, Julie?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing pretty well.
Not too bad. We're hunkered down at the Coastal Maine studio right now. It's starting to snow outside.
Yeah, we got some rain here in Boothbay Harbor. I'm hunkered in my little home office, nice and cozy.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. How are things looking at Coastal Maine Popcorn today?
Things are looking good. We are doing a lot of packing and shipping and working on some new flavors. It's sort of that time of year for us.
So right now, this might be a little bit irrelevant when this episode actually comes out, but right now we're in the throes of the coronavirus, right? COVID-19 is what they're calling it. So it's affecting our businesses in a couple of different ways. Dan's is a little bit different than how mine's being affected. So how is the coronavirus affecting you? We just want to touch on this briefly. We're not going to make the whole episode about it.
Right. I think it's just a really weird time we're living in. Some of us are I guess we're all just kind of going day to day. There's no owner's manual on how to deal with it. We are always really strict with our cleanliness and hygiene and everything at Coastal Maine Popcorn. We've really, stiffened that up a lot. We're on the fence of, do we shut down our retail? We're doing curbside service. We're also doing deliveries on the Boothbay Harbor Peninsula, and we're working to really get our name out there for our website, knowing, people want to support small business and its websites and shipping, and it's a great way to do it.
Should we bring it back to where it started with you guys?
Sure.
So
yeah.
What I want to know is, from the intro, we heard that, Coastal Maine Popcorn you guys started in 2008, correct?
Yep. Yes,
so
exactly.
What inspired you to do that and to do the air popped popcorn? We'll talk a little bit more about.
Sure. Yeah. Back in from 1988 to 1991, when I was in high school, there was a popcorn store here in Boothbay Harbor. Beans Corner Corn Company was the name of it, out of the J. Wilton area, and that was my summer job for three seasons. And that's where my love for flavored popcorn began. And I went off and went to cosmetology school, became a hairdresser, owned a salon, did hair for 19 years, and kind of got tired of that. And then in 2008, I said to my husband, Paul, hey, I have this business idea. How do you feel about popcorn? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But let's go have a drink at our favorite bar in town and let's talk about it. And so I told him all about this great summer job I had and all these different flavors of popcorn. And Paul's background was in business, so he put a business plan together for us, and we started experimenting, making popcorn in our kitchen, and here we are 12 years later.
That's great. It's, so we've had quite a few of those husband and wife teams on here. And so we really like to see that. So, so Paul has that business background, and that's probably helped you guys quite a bit.
Sure, it has. Yeah, he's a great forecaster with numbers, and he kind of deals with like the production end of it. I tend to deal more with the retail customer service end of it. He's out on the road today. Yeah. We've been, with wholesale accounts and things like that. So we both sort of have our own area that we really love.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been stalking your popcorn for probably going on 4 or 5 years now. I don't even think I've ever had to talk with your husband.
Right.
You're you seem like you're the people person. I see you on Facebook. I see you doing the live videos. I see you at the show kind of being the face of the company. Is that an accurate assessment?
It is. I feel bad for Paul sometimes because he's always like, hey, I own this company too. And I'm like, I know, but I truly love the social part of it.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite part of it.
And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show, Julie, because I thought you'd make such a great guest, and really to be able to, hear a little bit more. I didn't know that about Paul. You said his name was?
Yeah, Paul.
So
was my husband.
he's in the back crunching numbers. It sounds like he's fine tuning the process in the production room, and
definitely.
From delivering large orders. I'm seeing that you guys are you're manufacturing the product, but then you're also delivering it. You're distributing it too, right?
We are. Yeah, we still distribute. Paul, like I said, Paul was on the road today with our, a few of our larger accounts, going around and taking orders and just kind of meeting and greeting, making sure everybody's happy. And and then I tend to do the more, frontal face of the company through the store and, social media.
Yeah. I love the fact that you have such a chemistry there that you're hitting both ends of the business. Now, we've had the Maine Needham company on recently, and they're manufacturing the chocolate Needhams out of their home. But they after that, they pass it off and have other people distribute it throughout the region. I like the fact that you're kind of tackling both sides. You have the retail store, you have online, you really have your hands in a little bit of everything. You said you had wholesale. Now, for some of the common listeners that maybe don't know all of the, what goes with all of that, can you explain a little bit more about the difficulties it is and how you work together to get that done?
Yeah, it's interesting. We haven't really done any work with distributors right now just because we feel that it's really important to be the face of our company. Kind of nobody sells your own product, like you do. So that's been really important. And we haven't gotten so large yet that we have to go to a distributor. And we're hoping, if the right thing came along, and that worked out, that's great. But man, there's nothing like giving personal owner attention to our wholesale accounts.
I'm going to just jump in on that because I agree. I feel like there's so much value there. You have Paul going and meeting the owner of the company, and you too, going and meeting up with, the business owners and the people buying your product and delivering it. And I think that's just so awesome. But you touched on it though, because what happens when you get so big? Because I imagine you guys are growing. I see you in more and more stores every day. You're posting, oh, we're in another Hannaford, we're another, we're in another one of, an IGA, another mom and pop shop. At some point, that's going to become very, very difficult for your driver or drivers to be able to get it all out there. Am I correct?
Right, which is Paul right now. So, we look for ways to kind of fill in the blanks when he's out on the road. So maybe there's not as long of a stretch in between stores where he stops, to try to get a lot of bang for our buck. There are a lot of great companies that we work with that do accept, UPS deliveries and not just direct store delivery. So, he'll go and check on those, maybe take an order, and then call us back in the office, place the order. We'll get it packed and shipped, and then and he's doing the direct store like the Hannafords right now when he can, and just doing what we can to try to make it work.
Sure. Julie, so how are you acquiring these accounts? How are you getting wholesalers to find you? Is this mostly like word of mouth, or are they coming to you, or are you going to them?
It's a bit of both, actually. And as we get larger, it gets more and more exciting to open my email at night and in the morning and see like a request like, hey, could we get your wholesale information? We'd really like to carry your popcorn. That's pretty exciting.
That's the best question that you can get out of all the ones you get.
And
probably.
I was like, yes, absolutely. We really pride ourselves on providing great customer service as far as, reaching back to those people really quickly. And I think it makes a difference. They're hearing from the owners of the company. Yeah. Sometimes it's at 10 o'clock at night, and you don't get that from the
Sorry about that email. And I'm just kidding. I will attest, Julie. We get the Maine maple popcorn. We've been getting it for quite a while. Just fits really nicely with a lot of our boxes that we do here at Box of Maine. And whenever I get in a pinch and I need it and I wait too long to order it, I'm saying, I'm out of it when I should be ordering it before I run out. You guys respond quite quickly, either you or someone else there working, and you get it out. You guys get it out quick. We have you ship it to us, but we get it within like the next day or two. Right.
We try really hard, and that's one of the things. Paul and I don't argue very much, but when we do, he's like, because I freak out, I'm like, come on, we got to get this. We got to get it out the door. And he'll say, we tell people 3 to 5 days. And I'm like, I don't care what we tell people. Let's get it out,
Because that's a good thing. Matt, you could probably talk on that a little bit. Would you rather set the, say 3 to 5 days and receive it sooner? Or would you rather say, well, we'll get it out within the next day and then have it come late, right? Which side?
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what I try to do is I try to overestimate how long it's going to take me to get that out there, and then it shows them like, oh wow, I actually got it a lot faster. And you know, my customer kind of they look at what I'm doing in a little bit better light. You know, they are expecting it later and they get it sooner. You know, that's a great feeling for them. So I try not to make it too much though. You know, I don't want to be telling them it's going to be 2 weeks and then they get it the next day. You know, I want to be relatively realistic with it. And then, you know, that also gives me a little bit of padding too. So like if you know, I run out of some material that I need or something, right, it gives me some time that I can actually, you know, I can make up for that any mistakes or anything that goes wrong with any of the production process or shipping or anything like that.
Right.
So let's talk about the popcorn. All right.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, definitely. Mine too. So you have, from looking at your website, you have so many different flavors to choose from. You have flavors like smoked cheddar and root beer and chocolate bacon, Maine blueberry pancake, honey mustard. I mean, this list just goes on and
unicorn toots.
Yes.
That's a crazy one.
Yep. So how do you come up with these flavor ideas?
Some are suggestions from customers. Some are, you know, we try to follow different fun food trends. Some are, you know, we're just experimenting in production and like, hey, let's throw a few things together. That's how we came up with our Maine blueberry pancake last year. We mixed our butter, our maple, and our blueberry popcorn together. So it's actually 3 different flavors mixed together. You know, just we're so unique in that way. It's one other thing that Paul and I kind of go head to head about. He's, you know, from the production standpoint, he's like, you know, it's really hard to keep up with all these flavors. I'm like, I don't care, just make it happen. Because it's what keeps us different.
Yeah, sure.
Our production person, Mike, who is just like the popcorn production god. Every time I go in the back in production, he just looks at me and he rolls his eyes and he throws his hands up and he's like, what do you want now?
What flavor now?
Yep. And I'm like, just mix it. So it's a lot of fun. It really, and it's what keeps us different.
I think it's similar to where I like to try to get different items in the box too, where like people want to see a little bit of a variety. But I imagine you have a pretty good amount of people that just want the same kind too, right? The same flavor, their best flavor.
Sure.
What is your best selling flavor? Can you say?
Yeah, I can. Chocolate caramel sea salt is our top seller. Followed right now, you know, we sort of have a few that are tied at that top position. Maine maple and salt and vinegar are definitely up there,
Nice.
But also dill pickle and unicorn.
Really?
They all
Dill pickle. Me and Matt looked at each other with like almost like a disgusted face.
Yeah, no, dill pickle, and that's the reaction we get from a lot of people. But dill pickle hangs right up there in the top 5.
Interesting.
Oh, that's not a spoof gift or something that you would give somebody to be like, hey, here, try this.
There's probably people
really
out there
good.
that are like really into
No, we sell
pickles.
dill pickle chips.
There
People
you go.
love them.
Yeah, it's very similar to dill pickle chips. So, yeah.
That's great.
So how are you making all of this popcorn? I can't imagine that you are cooking it on, you know, a stove like we do at home or, you know, in the microwave. So like how are you doing it?
So we have a huge air popper. We air pop. A lot of popcorn companies pop in oil, but ours is a little more time consuming, a little more expensive to do. But we feel like it's a healthier, crunchier snack. It gives us a much longer shelf life. So we have an air popper that pops 80 pounds of kernels in an hour.
So can you explain the difference a little bit between the air popper and like a more conventional method?
Yeah, so the air popper heats up, you know, in the 400 degree range. And it's just popped, our kernels run through and they're just popped with hot air. Versus, you know, if you're popping your popcorn on the stove at home and you have a pan and it has oil in it and the kernels actually pop in the oil and absorb the oil, ours doesn't. So it's just just popped with hot
I feel
air.
like that's tough because I feel like the oils are going to give it maybe a little bit more flavor right off in the beginning. But that's where you come in with these cool flavors and ideas, and so you hit it with the flavor at the end.
Exactly. At the end. Yeah, so we air pop everything, and then the only secret that we tell is that the flavors are cooked on after it's popped.
Yeah,
sure. So we've got some of your popcorn sitting here in front of us, and we see that it's packaged up really nicely. It's in a clear package, so you can see all of the delicious kernels that are in there, and you've got a nice label on the top, and it's non-GMO corn, and so. Can you explain your packaging a little bit? Like, are you a lot of like chips and things like that? Don't they? They fill the bags with
nitrogen.
Yeah, nitrogen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So another thing we've struggled with. We're a very transparent company, and so are our bags.
Yeah.
You can see, hopefully, in the bag that you have, that there are probably no kernels.
That's what I was going to mention.
Sorry, I didn't. When I said kernels, I meant popped popcorn.
Yeah, well, I was going to
pieces.
Yeah, but you'll see that there really aren't any unpopped kernels because that is all hand sifted out.
Wow.
Nice.
And hopefully you'll see too, depending on how rough you've been with that package, that hopefully there aren't a lot of broken pieces in there.
No.
And so we don't have as long a shelf life as some of your major corporate companies, popcorns, because our bags are clear and we don't fill them with nitrogen. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I saw on your website that you have a Popcorn of the Month Club.
We do.
Could you explain that?
Yeah, we have a 3, 6, and 12-month membership. I think the prices are like $69, $129, and $199. So each month you will receive 2 large bags of popcorn, which are about 10 cups each. One of the bags will be a sweet flavor, and one of the bags will be a savory flavor. They ship out every month on the second Friday of the month, and then just magically show up at your door.
Yeah. Oh, and so you have so many different flavors, so you can switch up the flavors. How many flavors total do you have right now?
In store and online, we have about 40. We have an arsenal of probably like 80 or 90.
Whoa.
With holiday flavors, like when we bring out eggnog and candy cane and Valentine marshmallow and different things like that. So we have the ability to switch it up pretty easily.
So how much popcorn are you making in a day?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot. We make our bags, our batches come out in like 70 cup batch bags. And in a day, Mike can put out, with sweets or savories, he can put out like 70 to 80 of those.
Wow.
And on a day that he's doing savories, he can put out, maybe like 100 or so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So during, I'm assuming that your busiest time is going to be during the holidays, right?
Yeah, definitely, summer, July and August, and then, the last week of November and the first 3 weeks of December.
Yeah, definitely. So do you notice any changes in what flavors people are picking predominantly during the holidays versus other times of the year?
Yeah, we do. We definitely do fun things like, like I mentioned before, eggnog and chocolate candy cane, peppermint bark.
Yeah.
And we do different kind of gift packs. We call them like holiday gift packs. We do popcorn flights instead of beer flights. We call them popcorn flights. So they're bags with larger bag with 5 individual like 2 cup like sample bags in there. And then when fall starts, we do things like apple pie a la mode, glazed pumpkin donut. So that's one of the really fun things to be able to switch out during the holidays.
Yeah, so obviously we've talked about how you do some wholesale to the retail stores. They're getting a certain size bag. I get a smaller 2-cup bag.
Yep.
You're on the website. You could probably choose between different size bags. But also, don't you do weddings and other events throughout the year too?
Yeah, we're this one of the really fun things about us is we're so customizable.
Yeah.
We do weddings, we do corporate gifting. We have the ability to custom label bags. We can custom color popcorn. We've done that for weddings. We've done it for school teams. We do fundraising. We just the options are sort of endless for what we can do.
Yeah, when the custom labeling, I'm looking at your label right now, and your branding, didn't you just go through a whole rebranding process? I don't think we've ever actually really talked about that a whole lot on the show yet, as far as how do people come up with the idea of what their brand or what their logo and everything they want to look like, want it to look like?
When we first started 12 years ago, we had somebody that we worked with that, helped us with our logo. And then a couple of years ago, we wanted to freshen up, but we still wanted to be recognizable. So we had somebody that we worked with that gave us a bunch of different ideas and really kept us who we are, but just freshened us up a little bit.
You still see those corn stalks coming up.
Yeah.
And the purple, your color schemes there. So I like it. It felt fresh because I remember when I got the new popcorn I ordered in, it came with the new branding. It felt fresh. It felt up to date. And I recognized it right away, but you still kind of kept that, 2008 feel.
Exactly.
That's great. I have a question where I kind of go back a little bit with the flavors. I keep going back to the flavors because I really do think that's what makes you very unique and sets you apart. And my question was, you said some people suggest the flavors, and obviously you have some ones that do better than others. You have seasonal flavors, but is there a testing that goes into some of that, or do you just automatically someone suggests a flavor and you just do it, or are you testing it and seeing?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of testing that goes into it to kind of get the flavors right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just don't hit it, like we did a beer flavor, and it was stale, flat beer.
That doesn't sound good.
That never really hit the floor. And it's interesting because there, are 4 or 5 of us at any one time kind of working on flavor development, and we have really different tastes. So somebody might say, I don't really like that. And then the rest of us are like, well, we really do. And then we have to decide, are we going to do it? Are we not going to do it? So it's a lot of fun, actually. A lot of fun goes into it.
Yeah, because it's the creativity behind it. And I love the fact that you involve your customers into the process. I think that is so good to connect with them, to hear them out, because ultimately you want to try to please them the best you can. But we know as business owners that you can't always do that, right? And so sometimes it just doesn't make sense to do certain things. So what are some things that you've known that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of things. First thing I want to say is the only way to learn how to run a business is to run a business. Yeah. For sure. One of the things I wish we had known in the beginning is we thought the best way for us to grow was by opening different retail locations.
That's right. Weren't you in? You were in Freeport?
Yeah, we were first in Boothbay, then opened a store in Portland, then opened a store in Rockland, and then opened a store in Freeport. So, we were looking for something to be, Boothbay was great in the summer, but, we were looking for something that we thought would be more year round, which didn't, is tough in the state of Maine, a little bit. There's always those months that are a little quieter than others.
Right now, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Right now. So I think that was, it's such a hard thing to say because if we didn't have those locations, would people recognize us like they do? So, I don't know if we'd change it. It was hard. They were expensive mistakes, but were they really mistakes? Because I think it helped brand us.
Sure. So what's the most difficult part of your business?
Gosh, I would have to say, probably staffing. We're so lucky. We have a great core of staff at Coastal Maine Popcorn, of year-round folks that stick with us. And I think the seasonality is the hardest because, we have such a short, we ramp up, we get the kids out of high school, so we have one schedule sort of ramping up, and then we have the full-blown July into the second week of August, and then everybody's like, okay, we're going back to school now. So it's really trying to ramp up for summer, only to have it be 6 weeks, and then we have to
tough. I actually feel that
again.
I feel that same exact curve. And it just dies off hard September and October, but then you start to ramp up for the holiday. So it's nice to have a little bit of a breath in there, maybe just kind of regroup, re-strategize, and prepare for the craziness that's the holidays.
Exactly.
So that's tough. So you talked a little bit about making a few mistakes. You opened up a little bit too fast, different stores. I can imagine the staffing on all of that must have been incredibly difficult and tricky.
It was. Yeah.
So you've pulled back, and you just recently closed another one. Was it last year or the year before, I think? So are you just down to the Boothbay now?
Yeah, we are back to our roots of the Boothbay Harbor location. We really, although we miss our customers in Freeport and Portland, we couldn't be happier to have everything sort of consolidated under one roof, our home quarters, and it's working really great for us.
Yeah, I mean, with the internet now, I mean, we're able to pretty much reach every person on, with an internet connection, right?
It's limitless.
Yeah, and so like for me, a lot of people, when they find out I'm a blacksmith, they're pretty surprised because it's not very common. And how can you make a living doing that? Well, now with the internet, it's not limited to the my local community. It's the entire world essentially that I'm able to reach with my product. And so, do you do most of your sales online, or are they going to be more wholesale, or the retail sales that you're doing?
Our retail sales in the Boothbay Harbor store and our wholesale are kind of an even split. And then bringing up the rear is wholesale, but we increased that by a really decent percentage this past year by getting out more on social media, collecting email addresses. Has been really, really successful for us in store when folks come and visit. Having a pop-up on our website that, hey, you sign up for our email list. We only send emails, 2 or 3 times a month maybe, and we make them really valuable. Great sales or free shipping or a product flavor launch. So that's been really valuable for us.
Yeah, so you touched on social media. I've been kind of making a little bit more of a presence over the past year. Kind of was my goal to kind of put a little bit more of a story, a face behind the business. So I'm sure you've seen me on there rambling a bunch, but I've seen you too. And I think it does. It just makes it, like you said, transparent before in your product, in your company, what you do. People are relatable. They want to be able to support companies like that. So I love the fact that you've kind of taken a little bit of a different approach. You've pulled back, but then you've reinvested in other areas. And I think that's how companies grow and they continue to be successful. Now you guys have been at it for quite a while. So I look up to that because this is no easy task here, having to constantly innovate and change with the things that are going on around us. Competitors, we didn't talk a whole lot about competitors, but where you are so unique in the air popped and the different flavors, do you have competitors, and how do you kind of stay up above them?
We're really different. There are obviously like lots of other popcorn companies out there, but our air popping and our diverse selection, really keeps us different, and like I said before, it's difficult to stay up with all those flavors, but it really is what sets us apart.
Why don't you? So you're set up. You're definitely set apart now. What's a day look like, Julie? What's a day look like when you wake up? I know you said do you have kids in school? Are you mom on the side, and then you're rushing to the retail store to get orders out and answering emails on your phone? How does it look like?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So get up and get our 8-year-old Olivia to school with Paul's help. He's a big part of that, and we both kind of head into work. We wear a lot of different hats, answering emails, answering the phone, kind of helping line up the day for, what do things look like, packing and shipping. I'm pretty involved with our community as far as, our Chamber of Commerce and helping with, some different, things in town. So I'm pretty involved with that. I love to be stretched thin, sort of. I operate really well on with a lot of things going on at once. And then, it always comes back to home base of popcorn though, and what our customers need and want and desire. So
we've talked a little bit about social media. So what are some other ways that you're reaching your customers? Are you doing craft fairs or trade shows, things like that?
Yeah, we started. We've always, where staffing sometimes has always been an issue, and we're stretched in that way. We've started doing some different fairs. We did for a couple of years now. We did the Harvest Festival, Maine Harvest Festival in Bangor, where we see Dan, and that has just been so much fun. And we increased our sales there this year, and it was so much fun to have people say, "Hey, we love your popcorn." And last year in September, in 2019, we went to the Big E in West Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yeah. That's scary. Tell us about the Big E, because was that a last minute thing too, wasn't it for you?
Kind of. We were in the State of Maine building, and we were offered, which actually worked out great. They had some spaces available, so they were offering folks 4-day stints. Now the Big E is 17 days long.
It's a 17-day show.
17 days over. I think this year they hit 1.3 million people.
Wow.
So
That's
there's
incredible.
there's over 100,000 people coming through on a daily basis. We're set up in the State of Maine building. It's about 4 hours away for us. So we loaded up a couple of different vehicles, went down, got our booth set up. And then we stand there and sell popcorn from 9 in the morning until 9 at night.
Wow.
And it was incredible. It's
tough work though. I think you're downplaying it like that. Yeah. To me, that's scary.
It was
one,
really
you got to have enough product. You got to you got to pack it all up. You got to drive down there. You got to stay, find hotels, and you're buying food because you're hungry. You got employees with you.
Yep, it was crazy. The only thing that saved us a little was a couple of years ago, Paul and I went down with Handmade, and they had a booth set up, and we sold our popcorn in their booth.
That's nice.
So we had a little bit of an idea what to expect.
So that's probably a pretty good place to say, hey, go check it out first.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and we're trying to decide, are we going to do that again this year? And I don't know. It was great. We sold a lot of popcorn. We made a lot of new popcorn fans, and it'd be hard not to do it again. It was so much fun.
I couldn't imagine doing a show that long. That's I don't even spend that many days at the craft shows I'm at throughout the whole year, let alone one event. That's incredible.
It was crazy.
I can imagine.
But it's a thing where you have to sit down, you have to look at the budget, the finances. Yep. You got a home base to run too. You got online orders still coming in. You got the retail shop still coming in. Where most shows are like a Saturday, Sunday. That one's obviously runs through.
This was we were in the show. We were there Thursday through Sunday. So we packed up Wednesday morning. Myself and two of our coworkers, Tom and Laura, packed up our popcorn truck and then my mom van and and headed down and flew in there Thursday morning into the State of Maine building, got set up, and had to be ready for sales at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a little crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Is it just popcorn? That's all you do is just sell popcorn the whole time?
The whole time in our booth. And it was phenomenal.
Are you sampling it too to the people that are coming by? Is that how you can reel them in? Because we've had other people on the show where we've talked about, how do you get people in? Because you said 100,000 people a day.
Yeah.
How do you get people to come into your booth where there's so many booths?
I don't know. Well, first you put a sign at the edge of your booth that says, "What does a unicorn toot taste like?" Stop here to find out. And not many people can walk by without needing to know what a unicorn toot tastes like.
Yeah, you know what I do? I say something like, "Have you ever had Moxie?" You gotta reel them in with something weird, or like, "Do you like Moxie?" And usually you'll get somebody like, "What?" You'll either say, you'll find someone that's like, they have no idea, they've never tried it, or they're like, "It's terrible." But
I have to come up with something, because I don't have like,
you're a blacksmith.
I know, I don't have a thing like that. I don't have that thing to really draw them in.
What's a unicorn toot taste like?
Right.
So what a unicorn toot, was that something that your daughter came up with?
Yeah, we wanted to do, we knew we had to ride like the unicorn wave, and she definitely helped us with that. Both the girls. We have a 20-year-old also. She lives in Florida, so we always try to include everybody in the fun stuff like
I love that.
So,
and it's done well, right? It's like you're keeping it around. Yeah,
for sure. Like the kids don't even care what it tastes like, and the adults too.
What does it taste like? I should have some right here.
Yeah, it's pretty, and then so it's like pink and teal and turquoise, and then it's covered. So it's just a sweet base, like our sweet sugared base with no actual flavor. And then we cover it in white chocolate, and then we cover it with pretty sugared sprinkles.
Yeah,
so it's like candy.
Unicorn toots sound really good. They sound tasty.
Yeah, really good. So
people can get unicorn toots. What's the best way for them to get it? So is it just your website?
Yeah, on the website, we at different wholesale locations, and Boothbay Harbor store, we're open year round.
Are you on any other type of online platforms?
We aren't right now. Okay. Just our website as of right now.
What is your website for people so they know?
Our website is coastalmainepopcorn.com.
So, where can we get some of your popcorn? So, like, from what I understand, you have retail locations, all up and down the coast here. So,
sure.
What states can we find some of your product in?
So we're in pretty much all the New England states right now. If you hit North Conway, Zeb's General Store is a big account of ours, and they carry a lot of different flavors. We're in Hannaford, in Boothbay Harbor, Damariscotta, Topsom, and Brunswick. Main Street Grocery in Damariscotta. We're in Tiller and Rye in Brewer, Candy Hollow in Oakland, Hussey's General Store. So when you need your wedding dress and your shotgun, you can also stop and get some popcorn.
Yep.
So lots of different places. We're in several places in Freeport, Wilbur's Chocolate. We're in Noria Energy stores now. So those are in Farmingdale, Hollis, Scarborough, Falmouth, Manchester, and Auburn. The Apple Shed Bakery in Kents Hill, that's a new account for us. So lots of different
bakeries.
places.
It sounds like a really wide variety. What do you find does the best? Is it the bigger grocery store where you got like a little shipper with a popcorn displayed maybe next to the snack aisle, or is it in a little convenience store at the checkout?
It's really like it varies so much. It's all been good. Zeb's General Store has been a huge supporter of us for years. They were one of our first wholesale accounts, and they're good enough to us that they give us a huge display space with sometimes 15 or 20 different flavors. But we also do really well. We're, in convenience stores too. I think convenience stores are working hard now to have really great, maybe higher end products, because that's what people are demanding, and it's convenient.
Yeah.
So we're finding that we're doing really well in those places too.
Plus, it goes back to the packaging again, I think, is where it does kind of, it just has that clean, it's like you said, transparent. You see, what you see is what you get.
Right.
And I think if you display it nice in the right area, it does good.
It's really fun to display. My favorite thing is when people will really give it a shot and order, 3 or 4 cases, because it's fun. It's pretty. It photographs great. It's colorful. So it's fun to see a big display of it somewhere.
Now we're talking about the good stuff about it. Is there any common misconceptions maybe about your popcorn or just the popcorn industry in general?
I think a lot of people, not a lot, but people will come in and, they're like, they think it's not healthy, or they see the unicorn tooth, which might not be, your
right.
best meal of the day, healthiest meal of the day. But where we have lots of options for everybody. We have, more all natural things like our olive oil and sea salt and our rosemary and pink Himalayan sea salt. We're working on some stuff with some nutritional yeast. So we try to cover all the bases with people who have, different dietary needs.
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that something that you're looking at trying to get a little bit more involved in, like the gluten-free?
Yeah, we have, all of our flavors are gluten-free except 3 different flavors. And, several of our products are dairy-free. So we have a few vegan flavors. So we can really touch on many different people. We try, we don't use nuts in anything. We do have, some of the chocolate that we use is produced in a facility that could contain nuts. So for some people without severe nut allergies, that works well. We go back and forth with that, but we really want to be able to have people that have nut allergies as much as they can, have our popcorn.
I'm starting to see that a lot more people when they're ordering boxes of Maine, they want to know, is there what are the gluten-free items? They want me to create a gluten-free box, or they just, they're looking for those options. So one of my goals for 2020 is to figure out, all the products that we offer, which ones are gluten-free. That way I can somehow post it or put an asterisk or some way to mark it so people know, because I know that's kind of becoming more of a common thing.
For sure. When we have people walk through the door now, when retail's a little bit, busier, there is not a day that goes by that we don't have, several people asking, for gluten-free or nut-free, or
right.
It's important.
Yeah, and like you said, with the flavors, when you're figuring out flavors, you also got to take that feedback into consideration too.
Yep.
So Dan talked a little bit about his goal for his nutritional aspects of his boxes. So what goals do you have for the future coming up?
Yeah, so our goals we're focused on wholesale, really growing that so that it just makes it easy for people to find us anytime
you want to be in
they
like
turn
every
a
Hannaford?
corner. Maybe I would do that, yeah. And then making our website really user-friendly and easily accessible, and figuring out really like how do we get into everybody's homes via their phone or their computer.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that. That's another goal. I got a couple of them for this year, but that's another one I'm struggling with too, is the user-friendliness of the website. I don't know, what's your average customer? Is it range in all ages? And
for sure. I think, I would have to go from some of the things we've looked at, like, definitely women over men, although we do have a lot of male customers, but women ages like 35 to 60 is our
good target.
Predominant. Yeah, for sure.
So where can our listeners find the Coastal Maine Popcorn Company?
You can find us in Boothbay Harbor. We are at 15 Townsend Avenue, so it's a lot of fun. We're right on the main street between a lot of really great stores, and we are open year-round. Right now we're just closed on Sundays, but other than that, we're open Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5, and then in the summer we're open evenings until 9.
And you guys are on Facebook, and you're on Instagram as well, correct?
Yeah, yep, exactly. We have a lot of...
Are you on any other social media?
We aren't. We just not right now. I'm just, I've got the Facebook thing down really good, and then my 20-year-old is like, "Mom, you need to be better on Instagram." So I definitely feel
More
like
pictures.
Yeah, exactly. I've done that and figured out, it's easy. You post on Instagram and send it right over to Facebook, and
That's good. So is it Coastal Maine Popcorn? What is it on Facebook and Instagram so people can find you?
Yeah, we're Coastal. It's Facebook.com/Coastal Maine Popcorn, and then Instagram /Coastal Maine Popcorn CO for company.
Okay,
So.
great.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really great talk, and it makes me really want to eat some popcorn right now.
Yeah.
So
I know, right? Yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Julie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for the recent order that you just sent out. And
Thank you.
we look forward to doing many more years of business with Coastal Maine Popcorn.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Made in Maine podcast, then please consider supporting us through Patreon. Patreon is a great way for our listeners to support the podcast by donating a couple bucks to us for each episode that we put out. The podcast has not been free to produce, from the equipment that we need to record these episodes to the fees that we pay to host the podcast. It does cost us some money, and any amount of support that you can give would be greatly appreciated. Right now, there are 3 tiers that you can choose from, and some of the donor tiers come along with some benefits. So head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Made in Maine podcast to learn more. You can also help us put Maine on the map by sharing episodes on social media sites like Facebook or Instagram, anywhere that you think someone would be interested in our content. Another way you can support us by leaving us a review on the podcast app that you are listening on. And we may even choose your review to share it on the next episode. You can find us on Made in Maine Podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/Made in Maine Podcast. You can also find each episode on the podcast platforms like Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and now on YouTube as Made in Maine Podcast. Thank you for listening and helping us put Maine on the map.